Alright, so I had to change the Tailwind class to a style and then double curly brackets, and then we still had to use the backtick and URL, then use the background. So it is working right now. This is the image, but right now it doesn't have full width, and we can give it a full width of let's use the main class in that regard. Let's say class name, um, screen, height dash screen. Yeah, so and also we can give it bg dash cover so that the image will cover the entire area. Let's take a look at what it looks like right now. Do a refresh. Aha, this is it. This is exactly what we're going to have at the end of the day. So you can see that's the background image, and it's fully occupying the whole space. But the way it is, we cannot really see whatever we write. You can see about us, and this is the content. They are really not looking nice because of the background we had already used. But we can add um, an overlay like a dark background on the image, so to make the write-up to make the write-up visible. So how do we do that? We need to first of all add an overlay just after the title or before the title. As a matter of fact, the title and the children will be in a div different from the overlay. So we can just say this div here I'm about to create is going to just basically serve as the overlay. There will be nothing inside. It's just going to have some classes, the bg black, that's the overlay there, and then we're going to have an opacity of 70. Yeah, and then we're going to have it as an overlay by adding z index of 50 so that it will be on top of the image. And we're going to also have the width as full, then the height can also be screen, just like that of the background itself. Let's take a look at what this offers us. I'm going to refresh. The system is a bit slow, so bear with me. Alright, that's our background overlay. Aha, you can see it's a bit dark, and that's exactly what we want to see. It's a bit dark. We can even increase it to 90 so that it can be darker. Alright, so 90 I think will be better. Alright, let's take a look at 90. What will 90 give us? And I would also like to change the navbar background to dark so that or rather let's leave it as orange. Aha, I think this is dark enough. So now the write-up is already outside the area, so there is one thing we can do. First of all, we need to do something, and that is on the parent div, which is this one. We'll add a relative class, and on this one the overlay will add absolutes. So, and then we will now have to move the title and the children into a div. That's the one that will be more like the content div, so that it can be on top of the background. So for this div, I'm going to give it some classes first, which is going to be absolute, and I'll give it the z index of 50 as well, and the width will be full height dash screen as well. So let's take a look at this. Okay, first of all, let's paste the right of the content that I copied earlier, so that okay, these are the content. Let's just index it a bit. So for this, I'm going to, okay, from here I can pass the text color, that is text dash white, for the entire div. So right now let's take a look at what we got. You can see the color affected it nicely, but then we want this to be at the middle. So one way we can do that is to add flex, justify justify center, and item center. Yeah, this should place everything we have at the middle. Very good. But then we don't want them to be side by side, so we can just simply use flex dash colon, flex dash colon. So nice, this is exactly what we want to have. So in this about us section, we're going to also have a button. So um, around the around the page layout, page.js, after the paragraph, we're going to have a button open and close, and it's going to say engage us today. So here I'm going to give it some class name of bg orange 600 text dash white and rounded dash md padding dash, that's p4, referring to the left, right, top and bottom padding. So I think that will be it for now. Let's take a look at the button. All right, very good. But then it's not centralized the way we want it to be. One thing we can do is to come back to the section itself. Come back to the section itself. Within the children, we can also apply um, flex dash column item center and justify center. Justify center. So we should have the same result with what we've got. Okay, excellent. So right now we can pass some space between them from the main div that houses them, and that space can be space dash, that's the horizontal space, or the vertical space, sorry, dash y dash 5. Let's give it 5. So let's take a look at what that space will be. All right, yeah, that's the space there. So we've got the space. So this content here, I'm going to just add a meaningful write-up later, but right now that is our about us section. You can see if we click on it, it brings us to that section. So it will be more meaningful to you when we add the two other sections that we still have left. So to add the two other sections is very, very simple. We go back to the page.js, and in page.js we already have one section. So at the end of that section, which is on line 19, can add, already we have imported section, so let's use it again. Section open and close. So within this section we need to pass in the opening tag. We need to pass in the props. That's the title of this area will be services, or our services. Then we need to pass in the background image and then the ID. The ID here will be services. I think so. Let me check from the header. What we give here is services. Excellent. So let's come back and add that as well. Services. All right. So under it, we're going to have background image, which is going to be a string of pointing to this service bg.png. So that's images slash service, all right, bg.png. So that is going to link us to that image. And then I think that's about it. Then the content within the body, we're going to simply render something different from what we rendered in the first instance. That's in the hero section or the about us section. So here we're going to list some services we render. So that is going to be in within a div, and of course that div is going to have a grid class, so to render items in a grid. So I'm going to pass in the grid and then grid dash column. That's for the small screen size. That is, we're dealing with phone. Anytime we're dealing with phone or tablet or whatever, this is what will work, meaning that it will show one item in a row. And when we use md column, then it will, at the breakpoint of medium screen, it will show whatever will make it show here. Let's say we need 3 items in a row. That's what will happen. Then let's give it some gap of gap dash 5 units. So this will just give us exactly what we want. Then let's create the service items. We can even use this as, we can use it as a component. Let's get a component that will display the list of services we have, and then we reuse it there. So let's create a component called service item.js. So we can run RAFCE. So again, we can pass in some props that will be useful for the item. And the first prop is the title, that's the name of the service. Then we would pass in the image that will accompany that service, that's the image, and then we will pass in the contents. Exactly. So with this we can render these items here. The first one is the title, so the title is going to be h3. All right, so within it, let's render the title. So, and after the title, we're going to also render the image, and that will be an img tag. Of course, we can use next images so that it will optimize images for us. So that one we're going to say, we're going to simply use next images. We'll import it from next slash images, and then it's going to have some properties like the some attributes like the src. src is going to be equal to image, and then we're going to have the height and width. The height, let's make it 200. If it's not okay, we'll change it later on. The width, let's make it 200 as well. And then the alternate thing, if the image doesn't appear, what will display? That will be, let's say, service image. Yeah. So, and then we're done with that. Then the next thing is, let's render the content in a paragraph. So within this paragraph, I'm going to just simply put the content like that. So you are learning how to create reusable components like I mentioned earlier. So this actually makes development a lot easy for us, so we don't have to rewrite codes, and then our component is not a bit occupied with a lot of codes. So it makes things simple and easy. It also makes code readable. So let's go to the page.js and then pass in the properties that we okay, first of all, we need to import the service item. So let's import the service item. So import service is going to suggest it to me. So service item from the components folder. So now within the service section, I'm going, and within the div, the grid div, I'm going to use the service item like that. So it's going to be open and closed. We're going to pass in the properties that we already received in the service item, among which is title. The title of this one is going to be web development. All right. And we're going to also have the content that will be the content will be the children. So let's actually make that children instead of content. All right, so let's make it children. So that will be regarded as children. So this will be children. All right. So now let's also add the image over there in the page.js. So the image we need for this to work, the image, let's say image equal to, all right, for now I'm just going to still use one of these intro bg. I'm going to look for a better image to replace it later on. So intro bg dot jpg, that's the image we'll use there. And then for the children, we're going to pass in the for the children, we don't actually need to use the let's go back to the service item. We don't actually need to put it within paragraph here. We can just render children like that, so that we can have access to a lot of things there. So then let's go back to page.js. Within there, we can just render whatever we put between the opening tag and the closing tag will be regarded as the children. So let's just simply put a div, yes, open and close. Within it, we can render as many paragraphs as we want to. This is one. This is one of the children. All right. So let's take a look at what we have done so far and see how it really works. So while the page is loading, okay, it's saying the URL is not Okay, I'm not going to use next image. Okay, next image will require that we put, okay, we didn't really reference it very well. It's going to be images and then intro bg dots jpg. So that's it. So let's see how that works. Okay, let me scroll down a bit. You can see. So this is one of the services. Fantastic. So we're going to have more. So as a matter of fact, we can duplicate this very one. And to duplicate that, just highlight everything, press Shift, Alternate, and down arrow key. Then we can change the title and the images and the content as well. So here, let's just change this one to web, mobile. We already did web. Mobile application. All right. So the content, the image is going to also change. Let's use the second image. That is bg intro bg 2, and that is png, and then let us also duplicate this the third time, the second time. So this will be um, um, this will be desktop application. So we can leave the image as it is. Okay, let me use that as the service bg.png. Okay, we already have png there. So now let's take a look at what we've got. Excellent. So you can see it's actually looking interesting. So right now we're going to simply make the title a bit bold. So let's go back to the service item. We simply need to style it once. You can see the good thing about reusability. So I just need to add this class once and it will affect everything. So font dash bold, text dash 2XL, and I think that will be good. And probably let's make the color to be orange. That's text dash orange, and we will use 600. So I think that is great, if you ask me. Excellent. So the next thing is to make the images a bit bigger. We already used 200. Let's change it to 300 for the height and 300 for the width. So let's take a look at what that will look like. Exactly, I think this is okay. That's not reflected yet. Let me refresh. Okay, it didn't really make much difference. Okay, and between these sections there are no spaces at all. We can create some spaces. You can see the moment I click on services, it took me to the services section directly. So that is the beauty of the ID we passed in. So if I were in services and then okay, all right, let's just create the last one, which is the okay, or let me leave that one for you to do, and then add customize it the way you want, and then I will later on provide the video So you can put your comments in the comment section if you have any question. And in case you have not subscribed, it's a new channel actually. So I have more content to share with you. You can do yourself the good and do us the good of subscribing to the channel so you can get more videos when they are released. You can be notified when they are released. So thank you for your attention. All right, see you soon. Thank you.